A land of wealth, a future of limitless possibilities. This is El-DORADO. From natural rich to groundbreaking innovations, discover Africa's untapped potential. El-DORADO.
Hello viewers and welcome to the Pan-African Show. I'm your host, Gamachisa Mandida.
El-DORADO.
As you quite well know, the term El-DORADO denotes any place of fabulous wealth and immeasurable opportunities. And by all measures, Africa is the world's mushrooming El-DORADO. This show brings you diverse stories and insights from our growing El-DORADO. But first, let me take you to a brief update on Africa's treasures and key stories.
Hello and welcome to the Pulse of Africa Brief Treasure and Investment News. I'm Berta Sisa with the news. Stay tuned. Let me first take you to the billion-dollar diamond treasure inside a volcano in Africa. The Jwaneng Diamond Mine, located in Botswana, is the richest diamond mine globally, with an estimated value of 1 billion euros. Often referred to as the Prince of Mine, Jwaneng is situated in an ancient volcanic crater about 170 kilometers southwest of Botswana's capital, Gaborone. Jwaneng, which means a place of gems in Botswana. It has played a crucial role in Botswana's economy, contributing up to 70% of its foreign earnings. The mining is a vital part of Botswana's economy and a model for responsible mining. Botswana is the world's leading producer of diamonds by value, and its economy largely depends on diamond exporters. The African Development Banks call for Africa's vast natural capital to be considered when measuring the gross domestic product or GDP of African countries. Bank President Akinwumi Adesina highlighted the unique contribution to the wallets of African forces such as carbon sequestration, pollution control, retention of water, and soil fertility. Africa must make the best of its natural capital that is neglected or ignored in national accounts. Africa is not asking for handouts but for the wallet to pay for something that has tremendous value for all. The RC's mining sector enters a new phase of growth. The Democratic Republic of Congo, already home to some of the world's largest reserves of cobalt and copper, is entering a dynamic new phase. Recent geological surveys have unveiled new mineral-rich zones, drawing renewed investor interest and strategic international partnerships. These new geological research zones are key to unlocking long-term investor confidence and will drive a more transparent, regulated approach to resource management.
So, the continent stands as a global El-DORADO, a land of limitless promise and hidden treasures. Today, we have an in-depth story for you that explores into the African economic outlook and growth projection for the year 2025. Here we go.
ongoing conflict in the former. Growth in Central Africa is expected to moderate from 4.3% in 2023 to 4.1% in 2024, before improving strongly to 4.7% in 2025. The upgraded forecast of 0.6 percentage point for 2024 over the January 2024 projections is attributable to expectations of stronger growth in Chad and the Democratic Republic of Congo due to expectations of favorable metal prices. Growth is projected to pick up in West Africa, rising from an estimated 3.6% in 2023 to 4.2% in 2024 and consolidating at 4.4% the following year. Decline from an estimated 4.1% in 2023 to 3.6% in 2024 and 4.2% in 2025, with a downward revision of 0.3 percentage point for 2024 from the January 2024 macroeconomic outlook. Except for Libya and Mauritania, growth has been revised downward for all other countries in the region. Growth in Southern Africa is projected to pick up slightly from an estimated 1.6% in 2023 to 2.2% in 2024 and firm up to 2% projected to improve from an estimated 4.8% in 2023 to 5.3% in 2024 and 5.6% in 2025. This growth is underpinned by increased public investments in major growth sectors and substantial capital outlays on critical public infrastructure, including electricity, transport, and logistics. Average growth in oil exporting countries is expected to decline from an estimated 3.7% in 2023 to 3.5% in 2024, but could pick up the pace to 4% in 2025. Challenges.
Africa is home to about 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 12% of the world's oil and 8% of the world's natural gas reserves. According to the United Nations, the continent also holds 40% of the world's gold and up to 90% of chromium and platinum. The essential components of your mobile phone are made from African minerals. For instance, lithium and cobalt are some of the key metals used to produce batteries. Yes, Africa is rich in natural resources and often seen as the world's El Dorado. So why does it remain poor? Our next show explores the real reasons behind Africa's ongoing poverty. Stay tuned.
El-Dorado.
Africa is endowed with enormous natural resources necessary to propel its economic growth. Africa is home to some of the most precious natural resources such as diamond, uranium, platinum, petroleum, and many more. Undeniably, Africa is the wealthiest continent in the entire world in terms of natural resources. Africa is rich, but Africans are not. Why is the puzzle? My guest for today is Dr. Konstantinos Berhe-Tesfa, who is senior economic expert. Dr. Konstantinos Berhe-Tesfa, very warm welcome to our studio. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Why Africa remains underdeveloped despite its abundant natural resource? May I start the interview with this inquiry, Doctor?
I think basically it's historical and also contemporary on the other side. Historically, Africans have been subjected to slavery. They have been subjected to colonialism. And because of these factors, these are retarded the development of the continent in a more holistic way. But even after independence, the governments we had after post-independent Africa have not been responsible in trying to rebuild Africa from the vestiges of colonialism and slavery. For one, we had more than 100 military coups and counter coups. This makes sustainability of the state administration very difficult. Corruption is one of the biggest problems we face in Africa. The second thing we face is Africa has lost over $1 trillion in the past decade on illicit financial flows. We have more money going out of Africa than coming in FDI or in terms of loans and grants. The biggest problem is illicit trade. If we take, for example, the Democratic Republic of Congo, they have minerals worth $24 trillion. In fact, this has been an assessment about a decade ago. Now, this assessment has gone to $34 trillion. So, DRC on paper is the richest country in the world. But when you see the Human Development Index of DRC, it is the poorest country. So, these are the major problems: lack of leadership, lack of good governance, and also human capital flight. Africans, short of working in their own countries, professionals are living at the first chance they get to go out of Africa. For one, they don't get the jobs they were trained for. Number two, they don't get the equipment and facilities to be able to undertake their work properly. And number three, they are completely underpaid, and therefore, at the first chance, they leave their continent and become what you call the African diaspora.
What opportunities do Africans have in terms of utilizing their vast natural resource to propel economic growth, to realize prosperity and growth in their soil?
We have tremendous amount of agricultural land. We have fresh water that can be used for agriculture and human consumption. We have minerals all over Africa, like gold, tantalum, lithium, which is used now for electric vehicles, diamonds. And these minerals are in abundance. Some countries, they don't even know how much they have. Some other countries during the colonial period, their mineral potential has been mapped out very well. In terms of other opportunities, Africa has a young population. 70% of African population are youth. And this youth now are educated youth. If you see Europe, some Asian countries, it's an aging population where the working population number is diminishing. Birth rates are declining in these countries. And therefore, most of the investments that are going to be undertaken that are going to use human capacity will be in Africa. But these opportunities will need also proper governance and proper investment administration. The other opportunity, Africa is literally the center of the world. We have all shipping lines and supply chains passing through Africa. Africa has enormous potential. Much has been written about it. There is no question about it.
Apparently, the story of Africa is not only about poverty or crisis. In fact, Africans have been making significant strides in terms of economic growth. Many African countries have registered fast economic growth over the past couple of decades. So there are prospects. So what are the future prospects of Africa in terms of economic development?
Well, the average GDP growth in Africa last year has been about 3.1%. It's projected to be about 4% this year and 4.1% next year. But there are countries in Africa that have excelled more than the 5% mark. And this is probably 5 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. We have also startup companies that are amazing. In Senegal, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, and Kenya, we have startups in financial technology, fintechs, that have surpassed $1 billion in terms of investment. These are what you call unicorns in technical terms. And this financial technology startups are really fueling development in Africa. I have great hopes that very soon great changes are going to take place in which Africa can use its own resources, its own human capital, and its own leadership in this transformation.
Yeah. You know, Doctor, recently I held an interview with one brilliant young man from Malawi called Rex Chapota, and he said the war on poverty is the greatest fight that we need to prioritize. Do you think, Doctor, do you think African leaders, African politicians, policy makers, and other prominent peoples of the continent understand the urgency of fighting poverty?
Well, on paper, yes, because I see AU declaration is coming up on this issue from time to time. In fact, I think the African Union might be running out of agenda now for the head of states to declare. But the problem is, we all talk on paper. The World Bank has changed its entire agenda to focus on poverty. The African Development Bank is focusing on poverty. These are major regional and international financial institutions that are supposed to bring change to countries. So the only thing that is stopping African countries is conflicts. 39 countries in Africa have some form of conflicts going on today. The Peace and Security Council of the African Union is permanently engaged in this kind of meetings, day in, day out. And just the last 3 years, we have something like 12 coup d'etats. And these have become a challenge for development. Leaders have to look into not the benefits they get within the 4 or 5 years they have been leaders and presidents of a country, but on the long-term benefits of their country that history will remember them for.
You know, many of the problems, many of the challenges and setbacks that we have discussed on, like violence, chaos, war, and conflict emanates from poverty, isn't it? One way or other, it's poverty and economic crisis that exacerbates the situation in the continent. So how Africans should work collaboratively to achieve victory over poverty?
You know, in my 2013 book on Unleashing Africa's Resilience, which is a 740-page book, I've done very serious analysis of these issues. You know, the challenge we have in Africa, as I said earlier, conflicts, corruption, illicit financial flows, and illicit trade are all undertaken by those people that we elect into government. Leadership is a very important issue. Leaders have to understand that a peaceful transformation and negotiation is a win-win situation that benefits not only the public and the country, but also themselves.
Yeah. Dr. Konstantinos Berhe-Tesfa, thank you very much for sharing your in-depth analysis and beautiful insights regarding African development. the setbacks and the way forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That was my insightful interview on the challenges, prospects and opportunities of African development. Africa is a global El-Dorado. If Africa properly utilizes its natural resource, it can be a continent of prosperity and development. Many thanks for watching and see you then.
El-Dorado.
Of course, Africa is still poor despite rich in natural resources. But if we manage our natural resources well, Africa has no reason to be poor. That's all for today's program. Join us next week for a brand new edition. Until then, goodbye and thank you for watching.
El-Dorado, a land of wealth, a future of limitless possibilities. This is El-Dorado. From natural rich to groundbreaking innovations, discover Africa's untapped potential. El-Dorado.